Epictetus said, circumstances don't make the man, they reveal him. Recently, Oliver Anthony put out a song on TikTok that went viral called Rich Men North of Richmond. If you spent any time on that platform, you will see video after video of people reacting to this song, and it's moving. When I first heard it, I couldn't stop smiling, tapping my feet, and fist pumping at certain sections. What's the world gotten to for people like me and people like you? It's a damn shame, Anthony states. Why is this previously unknown singer's song shot to record level listens, downloads, and reaction videos? But today, we're going to explore that question and what is happening to men in America. We're going to discuss why we're changing the name of this podcast and what you can expect. You see, I think the answers lie somewhere in this statement by Epictetus that no man is free who is not master of himself. So, men, buckle up. Let's go for a ride because we are declaring war against the mediocrity of modern man. Welcome to the Evolve Podcast. Evolve your body, evolve your mind, evolve your soul, and evolve your tribe. And now it's time to disrupt. Welcome back to the Evolve Podcast, where we are at war with the mediocrity of modern man. Before we get started, I want to thank our sponsor, Med1 Capital, for sponsoring the Evolve Podcast. We appreciate all the support. The Med1 Group exists for the sole purpose of making needed medical equipment available to the healthcare industry. You can find out more at themed1group.com. Also, I want to thank you, our listeners, for listening to the Evolve Podcast. The Evolve Podcast is part of my passion to provide no-cost to consumer content that will help you disrupt and evolve into your highest self. The Evolve Podcast and community continues to grow, and I want to make sure that people can find us to disrupt and evolve. If you haven't yet, will you do me a favor? Jump on Apple or Spotify, give us a rating and review. The ratings and reviews help us to grow the show and achieve my mission of helping millions of people evolve into the highest version of themselves. You know, I've got great friends. The best friends, the ones that I stay in touch with, the ones that I keep connected with for 20, 30 plus years, are the ones that not only share a mutual drive, they not only want to evolve, but they're also not afraid to shoot me straight. No pulled punches. The other day, I called up one of these friends with the intent of getting punched in the face. You see, I've been feeling some stirring in my soul for a bit, and I couldn't quite put my finger on what I was missing. Hey, man, I've been doing this podcast thing, as you know, for about 3 years. We're growing. We're set to triple, maybe even quadruple our downloads year over year. But something's off. Something is not connecting. Internally, I'm feeling conflicted. Externally, we aren't growing at meteoric levels that I would expect. And I need to know, what am I missing? I've been thinking that I need to lean in more, that I need to have more conversations with more men, because men are hurting. Men are dying. Men are not standing up for what's right. They're lazy, fat, weak, confused, and are letting someone else run the show. They're deferring to kids, to authorities, and they're just walking around like castrated cowards. No punches pulled. He told me 2 things that resonated. The first one, I think, was actually unintended. When I get a chance to listen, he said, that was it. That was the first golden nugget. One of my biggest supporters, a friend who's been by my side for almost a quarter of a century, isn't listening to every episode. I'm missing something. When I get a chance to listen, he said, I think you do a good job. But what you put out there doesn't come across the same way that I know you. Yeah, you're measured, but you're almost political and balanced. It's like you've taken your career in the corporate space and applied it to this podcast, applied it to what you're putting out into the world. The fierce competitor that I know isn't speaking. I mean, come on, man. You get up at 4 a.m., you train hard, you eat well, you work relentlessly in your business, you read, learn, push yourself, grow, evolve. You are bold, direct, and you don't take any shit. You don't have low standards. That doesn't come across enough. Grateful for the punch in the face, I paused and I let it sink in. He's right. Years in the corporate space made me calm, measured, and politically correct. Years in leadership roles made me learn how to lean into the idea of being the peacemaker, the negotiator, and the person that made waves, but not tidal waves. Don't get me wrong. My time in larger organizations was great for my overall growth and the development that I'm extremely grateful for. That time, that experience, the mentors that I met along the way, they're invaluable. But I started this journey 3 years ago with a different purpose. I started this journey because in the midst of the COVID outbreak, I saw men fall apart. I saw men lose all sense of resilience. They went to excesses, high sugar, high calorie, alcohol, drugs, porn, whatever they could to numb the pain. I got tired of seeing people fall apart because they didn't have habits that drove towards constant evolution. I got tired of seeing men, when the pressure was on, reveal weakness. And instead of challenging the weakness and tempering their steel, they crumbled, flaked, and fell apart. I saw a society run by overweight elites who told us how to be healthy while they took up 2 chairs to do so. I saw a society dictating draconian measures, and instead of standing up and saying no, men got in line and obeyed. I remember one day in the middle of the pandemic, I was walking around the grocery store and I became aware of a man that was pointing at me and he yelled at his wife, "Look at that guy. He's fit and he's not wearing a mask. Fuck it. I'm not either." He took his mask off and threw it on the ground. Most important, I saw too many men decide that they couldn't continue on. I lost friends, colleagues, and people I knew to death by suicide. I thought, if I can create something to save one person, one man from a life of mediocrity, hopelessness, and early death, then it'll be a win. And that's why I started Evolve. You see, the Evolve podcast was always designed to help to disrupt the ideas that people have that keep them stuck in a cycle. The intent of the podcast was to share ideas and perspectives that help men and women become more evolved. But I realized that my mistake was not being real, raw, and authentic. And it's watered down the message. My initial desire to help save men and empower them was diluted because, frankly, I was trying to talk to men and women. And that's where we're at today. I'm quitting. I am officially no longer the host of the Evolve podcast. It had a good run. Now it's time to end. I want to thank you to everyone who's listened and supported the podcast up to this point, but the Evolve podcast is no more. Instead, it's being rebranded, changed, and evolving into a new podcast. The format will be similar. I'll do interviews and discussions with friends, contacts, colleagues, and luminaries about topics that matter to men, topics that relate to the idea of becoming an evolved man. I'll also do single straight talk episodes like this, but the name and the message is really to one person, to one man, to you. The Evolved Man podcast is for you. It's for the man who's a high performer, a high achiever, but hasn't quite figured out how to live a life of being lean, fit, and functioning. It's for the man who sees the problems of the world and wants to strengthen their voice, connect with other men and learn knowledge, develop skills, and craft the habits that lead to evolution, and not just another cycle of lose weight, gain weight, feel bad, keep going, try again, fail. It's about you evolving. Recently, Oliver Anthony's song, Rich Men North of Richmond, echoed what I think many men feel. It's a damn shame what the world's gotten to for people like me and people like you, living in the new world with an old soul. I love that. Lord, we got folks in the street, ain't got nothing to eat, and the obese milking welfare. Well, God, if you're 5'3" and you're 300 pounds, taxes ought not pay for your bags of fudge rounds. Young men are putting themselves 6 feet underground because all this damn country does is keep on kicking them down. Lord, it's a damn shame. Oliver's song is so powerful, and so many people are resonating with because it speaks to the silent angst that we feel and what society is telling us to be. You have to pay your taxes so that someone else can live a life of leisure. You have to do this, have to do that, so that someone else can take advantage of a system where others are suffering. Masculinity is toxic. Bullshit. You need to do what the guy in the White House who can't stand up, stumbles over his word, uses his power to cover up his drug addicted son while he whispers young girls and tells them that they're hot, but then to tell them not to tell anyone about that comment. Don't listen to that guy. No way. Masculinity, being a man and becoming an evolved man, scares the hell out of a lot of people. Because evolved men don't need to be loud and obnoxious. They don't need to do what a lot of men do when they don't feel confident. They just need to be. Evolved men get up early. Evolved men master their bodies. As their bodies become stronger, leaner, more fit, they learn to master their mind. As the mind becomes the ownership of the man whose body it sits in, they find that their progression pushes deeper into the soul, and eventually, through an evolution of the soul, the evolved man creates a tribe of other evolved men, men who are strong, lean, fit, smart, and are doing their best to dominate in life, to win the battle against mediocrity. Evolved men raise evolved children. Evolved men are strong. They are powerful. They don't sit back. They don't need to pound the chest. They don't need to jump up and down. They don't need to scream. They just need to live. And they need to scare the shit out of the people who try to make them feel small, weak, soft, and tell them that by being strong, fit, and lean, that somehow that's toxic. But I'm here to tell you, you soft men, you men that carry your Diet Cokes around and can't stop making excuses for your weak mind, your weak will, your weak habits, and your weak body, you have a choice to make. You either evolve and move on with us, or you become part of the mass that accepts mediocrity and drags society down. Weak men make a weak society. Strong men band together. Strong men support other strong men. And because of that, this platform is for you. Whether or not you feel strong now or deep down, you know you have strength that you have not tapped into yet. It hasn't quite broken through. This platform is for you. I'd love it if you join us. Become evolved. Disrupt your life and start the next step in your evolutionary journey. Remember what Epictetus said, no man is free who is not a master of himself. So with that, I want to say thank you to everybody who has followed the Evolve podcast and bid you farewell. While I welcome everyone who will jump on board and move forward with us with the Evolved Man podcast. I look forward to our chats. I am Steve Cutler, reminding you that it takes time and consistency to evolve, but first you have to disrupt. And now it's time for you to get out there and evolve. Thank you for listening to this episode of the Evolve Podcast. Follow us on your favorite podcast app, and if you haven't done so, please give us a rating. As an independent podcast, it really helps us get more reach. This podcast is part of our mission to help millions of people evolve into the best versions of themselves. Please check out our coaching services at evolve-cast.com or pick up some of our Evolve merch. Until next time, keep evolving.